This is an enchilada, which, if you're Mexican like me, is very strange because you probably call this an enchilada. Recently, I was traveling in Antigua, Guatemala for 1 month. Antigua is a UNESCO World Heritage town in Central America, surrounded by volcanoes, and not only is it an incredibly underrated travel destination for its charm, its people, the nature, and its cultural roots, but because it has some amazing food that's cheap, delicious, comforting, and as you just saw, both familiar for those of you who love food from Latin America, but also unique to the people of Guatemala. So today I'm going to show you some of the must-try foods in the beautiful town of Antigua, Guatemala. First is some Guatemalan comfort food with roots dating all the way back to the Mayan civilization. Pepián is often referred to as the national dish of Guatemala, and it's a flavorful and hearty stew. You'll often find it made with ingredients like chicken, vegetables like tomatoes and bell peppers, roasted sesame seeds, and aromatic spices like cinnamon, cumin, and coriander. It's super rich, warm, and just really comforting, and it's often prepared during festive occasions and family gatherings. Now, as someone who's half Mexican, I love tamales, and these little guys are basically like a miniature Guatemalan version of them. They're called chuchitos, and just like the tamales you'll find in many parts of Mexico, they're made with a corn-based dough called masa, typically filled with either chicken or pork, and then wrapped and steamed in a corn husk before being covered in a red tomato-based sauce. I found these at one of the many rooftop restaurants that Antigua is known for, but chuchitos are also a great Guatemalan street food. Another thing that I found at both this rooftop restaurant and the nearby night market are these sweet little desserts made with something a bit unexpected. They're called rellenitos, and they're basically a fried and sugar-coated plantain stuffed with black beans. It's a mix of sweet and savory, and honestly, just eating 1 or 2 of these is enough to fill you up and satisfy your sweet tooth. Okay, now let's take a little break from food to show you 2 of the most common Guatemalan beers that you'll find in Antigua. The first is called Gallo and is usually the go-to beer amongst locals and the one that I drank the most while I was here. In all honesty, it's definitely not going to blow you away with flavor or substance. It's your typical inexpensive light beer, but it's cheap, it's accessible, and it's unique to Guatemala. The other one they have here is called Cabro, and it's mostly the same as Gallo, but I think it had a slightly darker and stronger taste to it, though not by much. And by the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, please hit the like and subscribe button down below in order to follow me for the rest of my travel adventures. Okay, now back to food. My tour guide, Luis, who by the way is the best and you should definitely take a walking tour with him if you come to Antigua. I'll include his info down below in the description. He took me to this little hole-in-the-wall place for some cheap and delicious food called chucos. Chucos are essentially Guatemalan-style hot dogs, but in my personal opinion, are so much better than regular hot dogs that you find here in the US. Like hot dogs, they typically consist of grilled sausage and are placed in a bun, but you can also find them in tortilla. What makes chucos distinct is the variety of toppings and condiments that are added to enhance the flavor. Common toppings include shredded cabbage or lettuce, sliced tomatoes, avocado, sauteed onions, and various hot sauces. Now, not only are they super delicious, but they're a satisfying and inexpensive meal for locals and visitors alike. Now, another thing that Luis showed me was this little candy shop right next to the famous Antigua Arch. He said that these natural fruit candies reminded him of his childhood, and the girl that worked there took us through each of them. They were all covered in chocolate or crystallized sugar and included things like oranges, cherries, dates, coconut, tamarind, or other fruits. They were super delicious, but they also surprisingly fill you up really fast. Anyways, I thought it was really great to enjoy a treat that's so much better than the typical junk food candy that you find in a convenience store, and to connect with Luis over these little pieces of delicious and natural nostalgia. Last on this list is something that will throw you for a bit of a loop if you're a fan of Mexican food like I am. That's because while they're called enchiladas, they are not like the enchiladas that you find in Mexican cuisine. The reason why enchiladas were my favorite go-to food in Antigua was because of how delicious they are, how cheap they are, and how they actually felt like a hearty and healthy street food option. Let me explain. In Guatemala, enchiladas are more like tostadas, featuring a crispy tortilla base topped with various ingredients. Some common ingredients include toasted corn tortilla, shredded beef, chicken, or pork, seasoned with various spices to add flavor. They're topped with a variety of fresh vegetables like shredded cabbage or lettuce, diced tomatoes, and radishes. But my favorite ingredients on the Guatemalan enchiladas are beets, which I'm not sure if I've ever seen in food from Latin America, as well as a hard-boiled egg that gets placed neatly on top of everything. The combination of crispy tortillas, flavored meats, and a variety of fresh toppings creates a dish that is both satisfying and rich in diverse flavors and textures. So, what did you think? Have you tried Guatemalan food? Have you traveled to Guatemala? Are you Guatemalan? This was such a fun country to explore, but there are still so many places that I didn't get to see and so many different types of food that I didn't get to try. Let me know what your favorite Guatemalan dishes are and what I should try the next time that I travel to Guatemala. Oh, and by the way, if you're interested in learning about one of the most popular travel activities to do while you're visiting Antigua, check out this next video where I talk about the hike up an active volcano.